Hui hui! It's Louis Tiki, and for this video I'm going to be talking the best books or the great books reread in 2020. Hoorah! So this is the first time that I'm going to be doing this in my annual book videos or annual book wrap-ups, because we all know what happened in 2020 and I already figured out that I won't be able to buy books anytime soon, for different circumstances. So I thought that this was a perfect opportunity for myself to reread some of the books that I want to reread. So I kind of got into rereads, and fortunately most of these rereads that I had, they brought me a better reading experience compared to the first time that I read them. So just like my great books read in 2020 video, I'm going to talk about the books that got 4.5 and above rating out of 5 stars. So yep, just a little spoiler or warning, I got a book here that got a perfect 5 out of 5. So stay tuned until as I discuss along so that you folks would know what book that is. So the first book that got 4.5 out of 5 stars upon rereading in 2020 would be The Titan's Curse by Reread. So I reread this in line with, because in June people wanted to reread the Percy Jackson The Olympian series because the TV show or the TV adaptation is coming up soon in Disney Plus. So a lot of rereads of the Percy Jackson series in June arrived. I sort of inactively participated in the Percy-a-thon, so that's kind of in line with me rereading this one, although I reread the series, to be specific, a week earlier. I decided to reread in advance because I don't know, I'm a super slow reader. So with this one, I have a rereading vlog, with all of my rereads of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series books. I do have a reread, so I'll be linking them down below. So yeah, overall I'm satisfied with the scenes. The first time I read this, I was thinking about femme fatale, and when I reread it, it's still there. It's still intense. All the situations that happen here, the narratives, the events were vividly shown, and it will unleash emotions as if you're actually in the narrative. You know what I mean? And I think in terms of reading experiences, that's a lovely one. I think there were just some parts here that were not as impactful, but overall it's a very beautiful and a tremendous rereading experience. And just like with the other books in the series, when I reread them, there were a lot of thoughts that came into my head. I became kind of pensive when I reread the book, so yeah. The next book that I reread that got 4.5 out of 5 stars would be The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Now, I think when I first read it, it was a fine reading experience. However, I didn't recall anything about it, so I guess it didn't really resonate in me that much. Maybe it's because I wasn't invested much in the narrative, and whenever I think about it, all I think about, okay, they dealt with kites, obviously from the title, and that it is set in the Middle East, and that it is a beautiful story. So because of that, I included it in the books that I want to reread. So I got the opportunity to reread it in July of 2020, and it was hard-hitting. So, if you're looking for a hard-hitting contemporary that is not focused when it comes to romance, definitely read this one. Now, this follows the story of two boys that are childhood friends, and something happens along the way, and then one of them does something for the other, to kind of make up because of something that happened throughout the story that brought to the point where the other one, wanted to do this in order to make up for that shortcoming, for that that sort of upheaval or that miserable situation that, if you're going to read this one, you'll find out what I mean, so it happens in the narrative. And what I like about this book is the setting. It was, depicted well. The imagery when it comes to the places like the Afghanistan and of course the Bay Area were depicted vividly, and it really tackled like in a subtle yet impactful manner about the challenges that people in Afghanistan faced back in the late 70s or even in the mid 70s, I believe, because that's where like the story starts, up until like the mid to late 80s, like throughout that time period. So you can vividly see that as how the narrative was synthesized. So I think it was well written, and the fact that it unleashed emotions out of me, and how this, if you're looking for like emotional reads, this one, I don't think I necessarily cried, but it was just so impactful. Like every scene about it, that conversation with a kid, all these like happenings, the struggles, the ordeals. It was just like you just want to empathize or whatever. It's just gonna make you feel something. Like in my case, in my reading experience or rereading experience to be exact, I just like I want to like sympathize and just be compassionate, and you just want to care for them because of the situation. The situations were depicted in a manner where it would unleash emotions out of you, and I think that's the thing about like books when these narratives, if the situations and circumstances were vividly depicted, then it's really gonna work great for your reading experience. And I think this is what the book did to me the second time I read it. Maybe it's because I've been contemplating and I've been pensive all these times, so maybe the narratives now like have more impact to me, I guess. Like, who knows? I mean, it's about a reading experience, and it's a great book that I read in 2020. Well, great book that I reread, to be specific. And the final 4.5 out of 5 reread of 2020 would be The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Now, I honestly do not have any plans of rereading this as soon as like after I uploaded my books that I want to reread a second pile. But this year I started getting into K-pop again. I've been a K-pop fan for more than a decade now, but kind of like on and off. And y'all know I made a book recommendations to 17 members video in 2018. So I've really been into, Korean pop, listening, getting into knowing the members through, whatever resources are out there. And yeah, it revived again I think in late August, early September, somewhere around that. And I discovered Super M. And then they, because of course Super M had like NCT members, and NCT had this like big project called NCT 2020. Well, honestly, I didn't expect myself getting into it, but I just, got sucked to it. Long story. Well, of course, my ultimate bias, Mark Lee, read this at the time when I decided to reread it. And yeah, because of Mark Lee, I decided to reread this one. It was like, okay, I took that as a sign to reread it, and I decided to, capture my rereading moments by filming a rereading vlog, which I'll be linking down below. And overall, it revived like how I found this book really beautiful. Like I wanted to know the teachings about it again. It's been a while since I first read it, so I felt like I wanted to reread it. And I think it's, the interesting thing is that like, well, it kind of goes with all of these books. In terms of rereading this one as an adult, it really did have much more of an impact. It resonated in me more. And the thing about this book is that it does have a lot of teachings. It is a journey, but it's more of like, you know, based on like different conversations. Like Santiago goes to different places, and there's another teaching that's going to be told to him. There's going to be another discussion or conversation. So if that is something that you're looking for in terms of a journey in a book, if those are the kinds of narratives that you like, if you like your narratives to be synthesized that way, then I definitely recommend you this book. And there's a lot of like wisdom when it comes to like achieving your goals and going through different paths. It's kind of like the books that I have been reading and rereading this year, like going through different challenges, phases, avenues, crossroads, you know, in order for you to, I guess, appreciate something. Like it could be like your end goal or whatever you have. So we now head to the 4.75 out of 5 reread of 2020, and that would be The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. Now, I have a rereading vlog of, like I said, of all of the books in the series. I've reread all of them, and I did a rereading vlog of each one of them. And basically it sums up all like my reading journey or rereading journey of each book. But I think what really stood out for me in this one is that the journey, the quests were vividly depicted. I remember during the first time reading this, it was like a fun, you know, Greek mythology inspired book. And then when I reread it, I got more than that. And there were so many things about it that like would make you contemplate. And you know, basically 2020 has made me a pensive person. I'm gonna be saying, I guess, the word contemplate or anything that's like connected to that, contemplating, contemplative, or even pensive. I'm probably gonna be saying it a lot in this video, so if you folks will be counting how many times I've said those words, feel free to comment down below. But here's the thing, there was this like one quote that made such a huge impact, and I think that it's just so like beautiful, like because I think it's very relevant to what is happening. Oh, there we go. I found it. All right, it's been flipping. So it says here, like, it's actually not a quote, but well, it's a quote because the story is kind of like spoken in Percy's point of view. So here it goes. It's funny how humans can wrap their mind around things and fit them into their version of reality. You know what? The time that I was rereading this, there were a lot of things that were going on in the world. And I must say that, like, whether you talk about governance, activism, human rights, and even like fandom, K-pop standing, which by the way it revitalized this year. You know how sometimes when you think about some of the things that you read, sometimes it kind of applies to that quote, like a version of reality is being created. So kind of like made me pensive about it. And sometimes I do think about myself, am I creating a version of my reality too at times? So I think that's just something that that made me contemplate, and I think I like that about books, you know. Like I've always said, or I've been saying this every now and then, wherein sometimes when it comes to reading, to me, it's not necessarily the message itself or like the context itself that I think that would, let's say, make my reading experience great. Sometimes something outside of it, or like it can spark another insight, you know what I mean? It's like it doesn't necessarily have to be that one, but it could be something like that would make me contemplate and, you know, think about other insights that I can learn. You know, books can be something that would give you directly the message that you need, or they can spark, you know, that like that thought, and you know, that's when you start thinking about other things that you think that would resonate you and that would grow, that would help you grow as a person. So I think that's another thing that I reflected upon in 2020. And basically this book, amazing journey, amazing quest, narratives were synthesized well. Guys, gotta read Percy Jackson, the Olympian series. I definitely recommend this. Recommend this to kids out there. Hoorah! And, of course, the ultimate reread of 2020, because this got a perfect 5 out of 5 stars. It would be the 5th book in the Percy Jackson, the Olympian series, which is the last Olympian. Now this got a perfect 5. My rereading vlog would state a lot of details about it, but I must say that this is the epitome of perfect journey, perfect battle, perfect actions, perfect situations, circumstances, written in like the narratives were synthesized all together well. And you know, they were like vividly depicted, the imagery, the setting, like the battles. You can feel like yourself being in there, and you know, it will unleash emotions out of you, and it will make one pensive, especially that conversation between Percy and Hermes, or Hermes, whatever, however you pronounce it. Yeah. It is indeed going. I was just blown away. Like, I knew that the series was lovely. Like, I said that this is one of the book series that I love. And now is a book series that I love. Okay? Read Percy Jackson in the Olympian series, okay? Because it's not just fun, but, you know, it can make you pensive. That would help you grow. And I guess when you're becoming pensive, you can empathize better, if that makes any sense. Do you agree with me? Well, yeah. I just really loved, like, there were like scenes that I remembered, and there were scenes that I thought like they were fun, but maybe I kind of do not really recall after the first time that I read it. So yeah, when I reread it, I was like, okay, oh yeah, I remember. And then like, boom, impactful, resonance, okay? This book is the epitome of resonance 2020, okay? Y'all. So these are some of the great rereads of 2020. Well, my great rereads of 2020 to be specific. So I guess that's about it. So feel free to comment down below if you reread any book. How was your rereading experience? Was it better from the previous reading experience? And if you made it this far, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Type down in the comments hashtag resonance, okay? Hashtag resonance. Hashtag resonance. Okay, so if you folks like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. And I'll be putting down links and handles of my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there as well. As always, thank you super much for watching. Always be thankful and unleash the reader in you. Bye y'all.